Hey guys, what's going on? It's Premium Ghost here. Welcome back. Today we have a very important video because we're going to be talking about some of the upcoming melee features. But as always, before I get into the video, I just have to remind you guys that if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening in Unturned 2, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm the one channel that's going to bring it to you. But that's enough talking from me. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, and that's going to be the upcoming melee features. Now, in the background of this video, you're going to see some Unturned Horde mode gameplay, but the most important thing is the stuff I'm talking about, because it's me. I'm kidding. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop right into it. First, we want to talk about the things that Nelson has confirmed he is adding. So the first one would be collision-based damage. This is something that's already in the game. We already have it so that if the animation hits an object, it hits an object. That's a super exciting feature. I talked about it in my other video about melee posts. Something else that Nelson said is alternative weapon uses. Items like the socket wrench should be useful for mechanics and combat. So we saw this a little bit in Unturned 3, or the original Unturned. We saw it with the blowtorch. The blowtorch was a very useful tool for repairing vehicles and bases, but it was also somewhat of a melee weapon. So hopefully we get to see a lot more of that in Unturned 2, because having dual purpose weapons really breathes a whole new life into those items. So that's something I'm hoping that we really expand upon. Another feature that Nelson has confirmed he will be adding is damage classification. Examples would be blunt, sharp, or piercing. So what I assume this is going to be is that different weapons will have different attributes, and that each one of those weapons will do something different. For instance, if you hit someone with a blunt weapon, it's going to cause that target to be stunned, maybe slow down, maybe knock them out. No, please don't knock us out. That would be really painful because I'd get knocked out all the time and would hate my life. But anyway, another classification would be like sharp. Maybe sharp weapons cause you to bleed for an extended period of time. Maybe if you're hit with sharp weapons, the chance of infection isn't too bad. Whereas if you're hit with, a rusty weapon or a older weapon, the chances of infection are higher. There's a lot of ways to expand upon that. And finally, there's piercing. This is another example Nelson gave, and to me, it's the most interesting because piercing can go a lot of ways. Is it piercing for armor? Is it piercing to vehicles? Is it piercing to bases? So there's a lot of room to grow there, and that's a lot of potential. Finally, the other feature that Nelson has confirmed is you will be able to smack with the butt of a gun. So let's say you are in the military base, because I assume there will be a military base in Unturned 2.2. There's always been one in the other Unturned, so let's hope there is in this one. So you're in the military base, you're fighting the zombies, all of a sudden you have a zombie come up behind you, there's a mega zombie, you don't want to disturb the mega zombie by firing, so you just turn around and you smack that zombie in the face with the butt of your gun. That would be an incredible feature and one I'm very much looking forward to. We can only assume that doing that would cause some blunt damage, right? Gotta tie everything together that we've talked about. So those are the items that Nelson has confirmed he will be adding, and in fact, 1 week from today, or 6 days because this video is going up on Saturday instead of Friday. 1 week from today, Nelson says that we will have another update, which will probably include the blunt butt of the gun attack. So that's very exciting. Again, keep an eye out for that video because I will have it out as soon as it's out. But let's talk about some of the other stuff that Nelson has said he might add. Once again, this Trello post is going to be up on the screen for you guys to read as I'm talking about them. I'm going to breeze through these very quickly because if they're only potential features, there's only a couple of them I want to comment on. With that being said, I highly encourage you to go check out the Unturned 2 Trello because there's going to be a lot of updates and features on there that we'll talk about in future videos. And if you want to know more about it, that's the place to find it. But let's get right into it. So the first thing we have is under the maybe category that I want to talk about is going to be throwing projectiles. So Nelson says this probably depends on the weapon type and player skills. Is this an alternative attack? So one of the things that has really intrigued me about this is imagine being able to throw a socket wrench, or being able to throw, I don't know, a blowtorch. If you can throw one of those weapons or one of those projectiles to distract zombies, that would be incredible. Whole nother level of realism added to the game. Because in Unturned 3, we weren't able to throw just anything. We could throw flares, we could throw grenades, we could throw snowballs. That was about it. All of those things that we could throw, those were the only things, and they all had a practical purpose. You could distract zombies, you could blow up bases, or something else. That's all you could do, distract or destroy. Okay? But what if we have more purposes? What if you throw things to hit an object, you know, make some noise, attract some zombies? It's a very, very promising concept, and one that I would love to see Nelson expand upon. A lot of the things on this maybe list are all things that I think would maybe overcomplicate Melee and just be unnecessary. So a couple of things I'm looking at would be directional attacks, chaining attacks, and then stuns and staggers, okay? I think all of those are unnecessary. Melee is super helpful early game, but as you start progressing into later game, and I'm assuming that this is the way the game is going to work, it could be very different and could change my opinion when I start playing with more of it. But as you get later into the game, there's not as much purpose for Melee. So I think spending time, and this is my personal opinion, and please let me know down below if you agree or not, but I think spending a lot of time developing these features, especially at such an early point, might be a little unnecessary, especially if they're not used as much later in the game. I'd rather, as a player, to have a more developed base building system, crafting system, survival system, zombies, bandits, any of those other features that Nelson has confirmed. I'd rather have more focus go into those than Melee PvP. I just think that some of it's unnecessary. Anyway, the next thing I want to talk about on this list is going to be locking on to an enemy. Nelson says that this could potentially help with the awkward running past each other scene in Unturned 3. Okay, so we all remember that fight in Unturned 3. You just spawned, you see another guy on the shore, and you start running at each other punching, right? Well, you just want to run right through each other. You can't get to each other, okay? A locking on system wouldn't be like a targeting system. You wouldn't be completely glued to them, but it would kind of rotate you around each other. So that would be something similar to Unturned, and would also help with that awkward running past, speed up fights, make them not take as long. So that's something that I can see being very useful in Unturned, just based off of my experience with Unturned 3. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about is blocking / parrying. So I read this, and this was awesome to me. Just thinking about being able to block an attack. Now, obviously, there would be repercussions. Let's say that new player has that axe he just picked up, and he comes at you, and you just hold up your gun and you block it. Okay, maybe you're knocked back a little bit, maybe you're stunned a little bit, but being able to block an attack as it's coming in, that would be phenomenal. But yeah, that's going to be the extent of the features that Nelson has confirmed and the features he's talked about. I hope you guys have enjoyed the background, the horde mode in the background. It's not super developed right now, but it's still a lot of fun as is. And one thing I would really encourage you guys to do is comment down below if you have any comments about this Melee stuff. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. As always, let me know down below if you have any comments about this stuff, and if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm your #1 source for Unturned 2, so you better get to it. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.